Did you happen to notice this week? I don't know if you've been watching the All-Star break. I'm a very casual baseball fan. I prefer to watch it in person rather than on television. While I was in Pittsburgh for the Energy Summit with Senator McCormick and President Trump, I had it on in my hotel room. I was enjoying a cigar at one of the cigar lounges there, watched the Home Run Derby. Where was that held? Atlanta. You know, interestingly, it was going to be held in Atlanta a few years ago, but darn if I can remember. Maybe our next guest can remember why they pulled out of Atlanta, Major League Baseball. JT Young is with us today. JT is author of a brand new book called Unprecedented Assault, How Big Government Unleashed America's Socialist Left. And he is also formerly of the Department of Treasury and OMB. And Mr. Young, I'm glad to make your acquaintance. Welcome to the show.
Chris, thank you so much for having me on this morning.
You can probably help fill in my Swiss cheese memory. Why was it Major League Baseball said they didn't want to go take the All-Star break to Atlanta?
Right. If you'll remember, Chris, Joe Biden was calling it Jim Crow 2.0. It was over the horrendously bad election reform that had been passed that actually, in fact, was right in the mainstream of election law, and that we saw positive returns in 2022 and 2024, where voting went up, including among black voters, by hundreds of thousands in 2024. So everything that had been said about the law was wrong. But what did Major League Baseball do? They issued an intentional woke to Major League, the Atlanta, and didn't let them have the All-Star game in 2021.
That's right. Thank you for refreshing my memory. The people at Major League Baseball decided to take the All-Star break from Atlanta over a voter ID bill that was legitimately passed by the elected representatives of the people of Georgia. And Major League Baseball decided to walk away from Atlanta over it. Now they're back. I guess they've gotten over it. Is that about right?
Well, they'd like us to forget it. That's what they want. You'll notice no mention was made that just 4 years before, Atlanta was being ostracized, as well as the state of Georgia, as the worst thing in the world. And ironically enough, the baseball commissioner, Rob Manfred, is also a member of Augusta National, which hosts the Masters and is also in Georgia. But lo and behold, he didn't bother to get rid of his membership in the golf club. Unclear if he went to the Masters there the same year, too.
Hypocrisy. It never seems to stick to those people, but it's always fun to bring up anyway. JT Young, again, author of the book Unprecedented Assault, How Big Government Unleashed America's Socialist Left. Huge development overnight, in the middle of the night. The Senate passed that rescission bill, $9 billion. It's a start. Hopefully there's more. But the big news, the takeaway, is something that we, as free market conservatives, have fought for years and years and years. The idea that taxpayer money is going to fund public broadcasting on radio and television. We're finally going to get rid of that, Mr. Young. I can't stress, at least personally, for somebody that's been in commercial broadcast for 25 years, what a victory this is for Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. And so finally, for the first time in our lifetimes, we're going to see that they're going to actually have to compete on a level plane. And I think what you're going to find is that Democrats are terrified of that prospect because they need a biased source to get their message out. They don't have champions like you and all the other great conservative talkers that are out there. So they need the public dime to get their message out to their party faithful. So they're going to fight it as hard as they can. But it looks like we're finally going to see victory in a place that I never really expected decades ago that we would ever see this.
JT Young, again, the book is called Unprecedented Assault. Coming from Treasury and OMB, you have undoubtedly watched what's gone on with Trump, tariff talks, the Fed. Just leaning on your expertise a little bit, not really the thrust of your book, but I want to lean on your background a little bit. How do you read the Trump agenda, the tariff agenda? Scott Bessent, our Commerce Secretary Lutnick, their moves on tariffs, the June report that we're now running a surplus for the first time in I don't know how long. I mean, how do you read it all?
Well, I think we're seeing him use the tariffs just as we would have expected for a man who is a proponent of the art of the deal. He uses them as leverage to drive people to the table. In the meantime, he is keeping them at higher levels. We are not seeing the inflation fallout that so many had predicted for so long, but that we are seeing the revenues coming in from this. So for right now, he seems to be using these very effectively to bring people to the negotiating table on his own terms. And you'll notice he's also proposing to use these as leverage within the next 50 days against Russia if they don't come to the table to negotiate over peace in the Ukraine as well. So he's really taking a page out of the Founding Fathers playbook. If you look way, way back, Thomas Jefferson used tariffs. These were the preferred mechanism by which the U.S. conducted foreign policy in its very earliest days. And tariffs have been a major revenue driver for the U.S. throughout its history prior to the ratification of the amendment that allowed an income tax at the very beginning of the 20th century.
Yeah. Which he's flirting now with tackling. He floated yesterday a concept that he may try to tackle the IRS. I don't know how successful he may be in that, but could you imagine a day no IRS, JT Young?
It's hard to imagine, Chris, but here we're sitting here talking on the threshold of imagining no government subsidies to PBS, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and NPR. I never imagined that either. You'd have to get a tax system that was so simplified that it would make the IRS at least less necessary. We're so far away from that right now, but again, we can only look at the success he's having right now in Congress. Who knows where he can go over the next 3.5 years?
Unprecedented Assault is J.T. Young's book, How Big Government Unleashed America's Socialist Left. Look no further than New York City, Mr. Young. This whack job the Democrats have nominated, who many kind of think might be an odds-on favorite to be the next mayor of New York, is a straight-up command and control socialist, maybe communist, proud of it, and was on Capitol Hill having breakfast, getting to know other Democrats yesterday.
Right. AOC had him down and was wanting the rest of the Democrat caucus to get to know him better. I think we know him pretty well already. He's already called for a second intifada and globalizing that. I should have said globalizing the intifada, which should send a chill down the spine of anybody who's a normal American, particularly in New York City, which has the second largest Jewish population outside of Israel. It's just mind-boggling what we're seeing. And as you've already pointed out, Chris, I mean, it's not just his policies that are socialistic. I mean, he's already said he wants to have government-run grocery stores. But he has declared himself, and is a longtime member of the Democrat Socialists of America, and certainly is endorsed by them. And just as you've already said, he is the odds-on favorite to win, and he won the Democrat primary, and you can see the election shaping up as 3 independent candidates running against Mamdani, and they're splitting the anti-Mamdani vote and letting him in through the back door.
Could I just, with like 10 seconds, just answer me this? Do you think the country is growing an appetite for what he's selling? Are you concerned?
I am concerned, very much so. And I think especially the younger generations, they don't have the memory that you and I have, Chris, of seeing our soldiers fighting communist aggression around the world.
That's why people need to pick up Unprecedented Assault, How Big Government Unleashed America's Socialist Left. J.T. Young, thank you, sir, very much for your time.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.